So the first thing we talked about was writing equations of linear functions from a graph or a table. So just a reminder that linear functions are always y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, which is the number that you're adding or subtracting each time. That's helpful if you're looking at a table. If you're looking at a graph, remember that it's rise over run, or for a table or a graph, you can always use the slope formula by picking 2 points. So that's the M. The B is your y-intercept. So on a graph, it's where it crosses the y-axis. The really important thing to remember is that it's where your x value is 0. So if I look at this first graph, it's a linear graph because it's a straight line. So we need to know 2 things. We need to know the y-intercept, and we need to know the slope. So the y-intercept is what I usually start with. So where my line crosses the y-axis, which is right here. So if this is 0, this would be -1, -2, -3, -4. Crosses at -5 because it's below. So I know the negative is kind of hard to read, but just remember that anything below the x-axis is negative and anything above is positive. So our y-intercept is -5. And then for our slope, I'm going to use rise over run. So starting at this point, getting to my next point, which is right here, I would go up 1, 2, 3, and then I would go over to the right 1. So my slope was going up 3 and right 1. Up and right are both positive directions, so that would be +3 over +1, which is just +3. So I'm going to plug that in for my M, and -5 in for my B. Y equals mx plus b. It's going to become y is equal to 3x minus 5. From a table, we would want to do the same thing. We need to find our y-intercept and our slope. So our y-intercept is wherever the x is 0. So here's where x is 0 in my table, which means my y-intercept is -7. My slope is my pattern. So since it's adding 3 each time, my slope is 3. So y is equal to 3x minus 7. So then we had one more linear function. Again, we need our y-intercept and our slope. And it doesn't matter which one you find first. I just always find the y-intercept first, so I write it first. You can find slope and then y-intercept, that's fine. So my y-intercept is right here. That's that +4. For slope, again, I'm going to do rise over run. So this is my next point, so I would go down 1, and then to the right 2. Down 1, to the right 2. Remember that going down is a negative direction, so it would be -1. And going to the right is positive. So this is just going to say -1/2. You might also see it with the negative out front of the 1/2 instead of just stuck with the 1. But either one of those two is fine. So my equation here would be -1/2 x plus 4. So that is it for a linear function. All you have to do is find the slope and the y-intercept, and then plug it into slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b.